couldn't handle the what was happening to my body. I became very open, you know, what people call sixth sense.
I asked her, I said, well, you see these demons on Hollywood Boulevard, what do they look like? And she said, well, they look kind of like frogs, is what she said to me.
She was amazing. She's an amazing dancer. But then she started really getting into this new age kind of stuff that just seemed really weird to me.
I knew I was going to commit suicide, and I was scared to do it. When I was little, about 5 years old, I started having a reoccurring dream, and it was always really scary. In my dream, I would see this woman coming on a white horse in a long dress. And I could see her eyes, even though she was really far away. And it would seem like there was something pulling me towards her, like somehow she wanted me or she owned me or something. And I always remember feeling really scared, and this woman would get off her horse and then come straight towards me, like she was coming to take me somewhere. I remember it was just so frightening to me, and it happened over and over and over again. I went to my mom, and I told her about the dream, and she stared at me like she really heard me say something, you know. And she said, "That sounds just like my grandmother." And I said, "Your grandmother?" And which would have been my great-grandmother. And she said, "Yeah, she was a witch." I didn't act like the rest of the kids. I remember getting on the bus to go to school, and there was this one kid, and his name's Dougie, and he would always tease me, and I don't know why it seemed like I didn't fit in. I didn't act like the rest of the kids. I saw things they didn't see. I heard things they didn't hear, and I couldn't relate to them. And so they teased me because I didn't fit in. And this kid, Dougie Doyle, was teasing me, and I remember I got really angry, and I got one of my dad's belts, and it had a really big buckle, and I saw Dougie, and I let him have it. I mean, he had to go to the hospital and get stitches, and my dad was very angry, and he smacked me around a little bit. Then he spanked me really hard, and I remember feeling so frustrated because I couldn't explain to him why I was feeling what I was feeling, because he wouldn't let me. My mom and my dad asked me if I wanted to go stay with my grandpa and my grandma for the summer, and they had a ranch, and they have a ranch still in Napa Valley in California, and it's just such an awesome place. I mean, even though there were no kids, there was no one my age or anything, and my grandpa and my grandma always worked really hard. We worked really hard. I felt more at ease there. You know, it was like a summer vacation. But then it was over, and I went home, you know, with my folks, and I was really smart when I was a kid, and the school system where I was, they wanted to skip me, you know, a couple grades, and so my mom and my dad were, you know, didn't want me to skip because they didn't want me to be not normal, and they sat me down, and they asked me if I wanted to live at the ranch. I thought that was great because I loved it there, and I loved my grandpa and grandma. And So they packed me up and I went there, and I lived there. But then some things began to happen. There was some incidents of child molestation that happened, and happened a long time, you know, over a period of 6 years that I still lived there. And I think that's what, you know, kind of made me open up all the way to this realm that existed. I mean, a place that wasn't what I could see. It was like a whole different place. But I couldn't handle the what was happening to my body. And the person who was molesting me told me that if I said anything that he would kill me. And I was a little kid, you know, so I believed him. From that time, I became very open, you know, what people call sixth sense. When I would leave my body, I'd hear voices, you know, and I would go to this place and there'd be other children there and I would talk to them. And I know there was one child in particular that always talked to me when I went, and I guess I was having major out-of-body experiences. I ran away. I told my mom and my dad I needed to come home. And then I felt really unprotected because this horrible thing was happening to me, and then I didn't really feel like I could say anything to anybody, you know? So I just stuffed it down inside. I did great in high school. I mean, I was like a real overachiever, and I was like head cheerleader, and I had a 4.0 average. I got scholarships to college. So I decided I wanted to get a degree in journalism because I love to write, and so I went to school. And my life seemed pretty normal for, I mean, maybe 4 years or so. I mean, I didn't have any real heavy experiences as far as out-of-body experiences or any of those psychic visions or any of those things. I wasn't seeking after it at all. I mean, it scared me, really, to be honest with you. And then I was in college, and I was on my way to my journalism class, and I heard this whistle. And I knew, I had that same feeling when I was a little kid, where the hair would stand up on the back of my neck and I would just feel a presence of something there. And I turned around, and that's when I saw this spirit. This is hard to explain because I could see him with my eyes, like I could see anything. But I knew that other people couldn't see him. I remember the first time I saw him, I took off running, you know. And then he appeared to me again and started talking to me, and he started telling me about the fact that when I was little and I was going through that molestation and I would leave my body and I would go to that place where the children were, he told me that he was there And he said, it's called the New Age. And he said, you're part of that. So I listened to him. Maybe I had a purpose, maybe I had a destiny, maybe that was the reason, that I'd been like I've been since I was little, So he began to teach me. And at the same time that he was teaching me, I would go to the library at college and I'd read books on, psychic phenomenon, paranormal activity, and I became a student of paranormal activity, psychic phenomenon, and I began to believe that I was a medium. Mediums talk to the dead, they read tarot cards, and they also channel spirit guides. And so that's what this spirit guide wanted to do. He wanted to come into my body and speak through my mouth, like a direct channel, At first he seemed really gentle and, like he wanted to be a teacher, but it was my will that was involved. It was like, I'm okay with this. But then things got a little hectic and I had a real hard time concentrating. And I would hear a lot, and I was going into a lot of psychic visions. And I didn't want that, And I knew Our Father, which art in heaven, prayer. So my grandmother had given me a rosary when I was little because they'd gone to Italy and they'd seen the Pope. And she had it, and she gave it to me, and I took it with me everywhere. And I remember praying, God, make this thing leave me alone. Make this gift go away. I don't want it. And I remember going to this place where I meditated at, empty myself of everything that I am, talk myself down to a meditative state, and become kind of one with, the earth. And I thought in my heart, I'm going to confront this bad spirit, and I'm going to make him leave me alone. And then I remember all of a sudden, I heard this real sweet voice. It was a female voice. And the voice said, this spirit that's been tormenting you is a bad spirit. And he tried to take over you. But I'm here to help you. And I remember the whole thing lifted off me. And I never saw that bad spirit again after that. I remember one day I was walking by a dance class, that wasn't really anything I really had in my head, I was going to be a journalist and, I was there. I walked by and I watched these people dancing, and I remember the dance instructor. She looked up at me and she said, you want to be a dancer, don't you? And I don't know why my eyes just like filled with tears, and it was really weird. It was like destiny or something. She goes, you got 4 years to finish school. If you give me 4 years, I'll make you a professional dancer. And I was shocked. I came back and started taking class. And I worked with a professional company, and I got paid from the beginning. And I was still doing my college education and everything. And then she set me up for an audition in LA, in Hollywood. And I remember driving down there, and my spirit guide said, you're going to get this audition, and your life's going to change, and you're going to become well-known, you're going to become famous, and I'm going to use you to teach the world about this new religion called the New Age. And that was the audition that I went to, and it was for a show called, it was a Solid Gold show by Bob Banner and Associates, and it was called Country Top 20. And I signed a year contract, and from there started dancing professionally. Went back to the university, got my stuff, and moved to Hollywood. And then got an apartment right underneath the Hollywood sign, So I was really trusting this spirit guide, who at that point, she told me her name was Marilyn. That was what I was supposed to call her, Marilyn. So I got an apartment in Hollywood, and then shortly after that was the first time that I actually saw this spirit guide. She appeared to me laying on the couch, you know, like in a dress, and she appeared to me as Marilyn Monroe. And she goes, "Why are you surprised? You know, I told you I'd make you famous in Hollywood." And this just went into this whole thing, and said the first thing you need to do is dye your hair platinum, and I'm going to tell you how to make it in Hollywood, and, you know, really very supernatural. So I dyed my hair. I did some magazine layouts, looked just, you know, very similar to that look. Not only was I doing the series, the Solid Gold series, I was doing commercials and theater and films and soap operas. I mean, I just threw myself wholeheartedly into the Hollywood scene, you know. And I remember one day I was teaching professionals, which is also incredibly astounding. I mean, because you would think that I would still be just a student of a professional, and here I am teaching professionals. I am teaching pros. I'm teaching the people that do, you know, Broadway musicals. You know, I was private coaching big stars like Kirk Douglas and Billy Crystal, and you know, I taught Charlene Tilton, who was on a TV series, Dallas.
I was on Dallas for 11 and a half years. Well, she was a dance teacher, and I took lessons from her. She was amazing. I mean, she did Donna Summer's videos. She worked all the time, different shows, Solid Gold, all these different things. An incredible dancer, yeah. She was my teacher. Yeah, she was my teacher. She got me pretty good. I was never as good as she is. We were very good friends. We'd party a little bit, you know, have a little too much to drink, or smoke some cigarettes or something like that. But then I noticed, I started going to church. And she came to church with me a few times. But then she started really getting into like this new age kind of stuff that just seemed really weird to me. And I didn't really, you know, I knew something was really wrong there.
I was there to hear a woman who was a teacher who channeled a spirit guide or a spirit being. They called an ascended master, and she talked in a male voice. So she prophesied to me, basically. You know, the weird thing was, I think if she would have talked in a regular voice, I might not have been so freaked out, but because it was a male, guttural voice, it sounded like a horror movie to me. And so it really frightened me. I got real busy, you know, in the business. And I also kind of got a little involved with cocaine. You know, I had joints rolled in my car, in my Porsche. And everybody did, you know, do you have coke? Would you like a hit? You know, how you doing? You know, just kind of get your energy going again so you could keep working. Then my spirit guide at that point, like, I would do stuff like she would tell me what dress to wear to an audition. And then all of a sudden, instead of being this sweet, gentle guide, she started getting, you know, a little hectic with me. You know, so I started standing up, and I started not going to as many of the psychic fairs and events, and, you know, hanging out at the Bodhi Tree bookshop, and I started not getting my tarot cards read every week. I just started pulling back from the whole thing, because I felt like I was losing myself. I felt like if I keep going in this direction, I'm gone. I was dancing, acting, doing commercials, but it wasn't consistent. So I worked on the weekends. I started working on the weekends as a waitress in Sonny Bono's restaurant in L.A. And some stars came in, and a director I knew. And they were sitting at this corner table, which had a phone, and it was a VIP table, and I was in my section, and they said, hey, you know, so is it true what they say about dancers? You know, which was a sexual slur. Okay. I got embarrassed. And I left, and I told one of the girls at the front, I said, look, you know, can you take the drinks to that table, because I don't want to deal with these guys, you know. All of a sudden, I heard my spirit guide, what are you doing? Either you know, take authority over them, or they're going to take authority over you. So I ran out, and I grabbed the drink tray from her, and, you know, I shocked her, you know, because it was just so odd. I mean, everything was just so weird at that moment. It was like a dream, you know. I went to turn to go into the other area of the restaurants, and the utility door came off its hinges somehow and then crashed into the back of my head. The next thing I know, I was in the hospital and hooked up to drugs, and, you know, I was in and out of consciousness. My hands, my arms, nothing moved. I mean, I would tell it to move with my head, and it wouldn't work. And my doctor basically said that I had a damage to my motor ability in my brain, and that I would probably have to go through rehab and, you know, all that stuff. They came and got me and put me in a wheelchair, and I was 28, so. I pretty much pushed everybody out of my life, you know, like, it's weird, you know, when you're crippled, you want to do things on your own. You know, you don't want people taking care of you. Doctors told me that I was going to be like this the rest of my life, you know. So I thought the best thing to do was just to take an overdose and not wake up. And then a friend of mine called, and I heard the machine, and it was Prescott Niles, and he was a bass player in the band called the Knack. And he said on the machine, he said, you know, hey, you know, Robin, it's me, pick up, and...
When I had talked to Robin this particular week, and I just sensed that she was out of it, and I remember my drummer coming, going, man, you know, I don't know what she's going to do, I don't know if she's suicidal or what, you know, I don't know what to do. And I just said, look, I'm going Friday night, if you want to come, you know, I'll pick you up, we'll go together, it's not scary or anything. She says, I don't know, you know. I go, well, look, you can stay at home and you know, swallow you know, a bottle of pills, or just check it out.
I go, oh, yeah. And I figured I'd just shine him on, you know. But for some reason, it was like something was going on. I had to go to that church, and I had to hold on to things to walk and stuff. And I could shuffle, you know, like walk a little bit, but I saw, when I pulled up, I saw this young man standing out in front of the church. When I went into the front of the Wiley Chapel, I started shaking from inside. Like, my stomach started shaking and my heart started beating really fast. And I made my way to a seat. The minister that night, he talked about how Jesus came and how Jesus went to the cross, and about how there's a heaven and there's a hell, and about how the price has been paid for me. And I just knew that all that stuff that I'd been doing was the devil. I never knew it was the devil. And I knew that I'd been used and manipulated, and that I was looking for God, and that everything I thought was true was a lie. The minister had an altar call. He said, if there's anybody here that wants to receive Jesus Christ as their personal Savior, that He's the only way to God, that there is no other way to God. If you would come up right now, all you have to do is pray this prayer. And the minister reached out towards me and he said, God's healing you. And all the pain in my body was gone.
But she was actually healed of her back problems. She walked out of here whole. And it was there that she really felt, I think, the power of God in this place. And I think the power of God, too, in the fact that she knew there for sure that there was something special about this God that she was now choosing to worship.
The covers have got to come off, this deception. And then Hollywood is so in depth in the spiritual side of things right now. I mean, all the major films right now that are out, you know, the blockbuster films right now are about spirituality. They're about spirit guides. They're about talking to the dead. And that if you would open up to it, the Sixth Sense or ESP, that you too can have a spirit guide and you too can tap into this realm. So it's a huge deception. And, you know, the bottom line is I know that the end of that path is destruction. Our youth are getting sucked into it, you know. So for me, this is like the most important thing, is that the covers are taken off this thing, you know, so that people really know what it is, you know.
Thank you for saving me. What can I say? You are my everything. I will sing your praise. Thank you for saving me.